Well, we'll get started here. First of all, welcome to the Michigan Manufacturers Association headquarters. I'm Mike Johnston, Vice President of Government Affairs for the Michigan Manufacturers Association. I'm pleased you're here as we announce the release of the Center for Automotive Research study called the Analysis of Economic Contribution for Constructing the New International Trade Crossing, a New Bridge Linking Detroit and Windsor. Before I bring up our experts from CAR and other supporters, let me introduce the group of bridge supporters standing up here with us. We have Brian O'Connell from General Motors, Keith Ledbetter from Chrysler, Charlie Pride from Ford, John Hamilton from the International Union of Operating Engineers, and Bill Stovis from Ford North America, and Kim Hill from Center for Automotive Research. I'll make a few comments and then hand off to experts who can talk about what's contained in the study. But at the outset, it's clear to us that manufacturing is driving the Michigan recovery. We have created 32,400 jobs in the last year. That's more than half of the 62,500 jobs created in the last year. To put it in a national perspective, 1 in 10 manufacturing jobs created in America were created here in Michigan. The Detroit-Windsor corridor is the busiest commercial land border crossing in North America, handling approximately 25 to 30% of all trade between the United States and Canada. MMA supports the new international trade crossing because this corridor is a substantial part of the just-in-time international supply chain and access to international markets. Manufacturing needs to move at the speed of the global economy. Let me invite up Kim Hill. Kim is one of the authors of the study and the Director of Sustainability and Economic Development Strategies and Associate Research Director at CAR. Kim?
Thanks, Mike. All right, well, thanks so much. It's a great day, isn't it? Let me just be obvious here. Canada and the state of Michigan have proposed the construction of a new bridge connecting Detroit, Michigan, and Windsor, Ontario. We at the Center for Automotive Research were asked by multiple stakeholders to conduct a study that would assess the employment benefits to Michigan of constructing and operating the proposed new bridge across the Detroit River. This study was funded collectively by the Michigan Manufacturers Association, the Consulate General of Canada in Detroit, and the Detroit Regional Chamber. In this study, CAR, that we fondly refer to ourselves as, used an economic software model to generate estimates of employment and economic contributions that will accrue to the region as a result of adding a second bridge, currently referred to as the New International Trade Crossing, or NITSI. Our report documents the findings from the analysis that we conducted. CAR's research and analysis finds that building the NITSI bridge will add significantly to the employment base in the state of Michigan and to the Michigan economy more generally. This will occur through 4 mechanisms. 1 is bridge construction. 2 is statewide transportation construction projects from the match funding. 3 from bridge operations and maintenance. And 4 from new private investment as a result of a more efficient border crossing. In completing this analysis of employment and other economic impacts of NITSI, we employed 2 primary methods: an extensive review of available literature and development of a regional economic impact model. Both of these approaches contributed to our findings. Our analysis started with an extensive search and review of literature from multiple sources regarding the costs and benefits of constructing the NITSI bridge. The findings from this literature search provided the data inputs that we needed for our economic software model to estimate the economic and employment contributions associated with building and constructing and operating a new bridge. So let me just detail those categories that will enhance the employment and economic contributions to the state. Number 1 is jobs from bridge construction. This is a 4-year project, and we see that approximately 6,000 jobs will be created each of the first 2 years of construction of the bridge, and then in the next 2 years of it, there'll be 5,100 jobs each for those final 2 years. This estimate assumes that the cost of the bridge, including highway modifications and plaza construction on the U.S. side, is $1.75 billion, and that the spending on construction for the bridge is slightly higher in the early years and tapers off in the latter years. Half of the jobs will be construction jobs, and the other half will be jobs in many supporting industries, such as steel producers, cement producers. Really, it spins off even into healthcare, education, all of the inputs you need for folks that are going to be working on the bridge, and companies that will be supplying some of the inputs to build that bridge. Furthermore, construction of the bridge will contribute nearly $1.5 billion to Michigan's gross state product, and a total of $2.5 billion to the U.S. GDP over the 4-year construction period. The second category of impacts, of contributions to the employment and economy will be jobs from the statewide transportation construction projects resulting from the match funding. And these will average 6,600 jobs for created or retained per year for 4 years of the construction of the bridge. Canada is offered to pay the $550 million for Michigan's share of the cost of building the Nitsey Bridge. Reportedly, Governor Snyder has received an agreement from the U.S. government that this $550 million can be used by the state as matching funds to receive federal transportation dollars. This $550 million Nitsey expenditure thus can represent $2.2 billion in U.S. federal funding for Michigan roads, bridges, and transportation projects. I might add, we got that multiplier from working with folks at MDOT and the U.S. Department of Transportation on what is a likely multiplier for the matching funding. While the Michigan matching funds of $550 million will be spent directly for building the Nitsey Bridge, the $2.2 billion in federal matching funds may be spent on any Michigan roadway projects and can support the average 6,600 jobs per year throughout the state. The third category of contributions are jobs from the bridge operations. So once the bridge is built, after the 4 years, we estimate nearly 1,400 permanent jobs will be created for operations and maintenance of the new bridge going forward. And those are indefinite in length. Those don't expire. So it's estimated that the bridge will require 775 employees for bridge and plaza operations that will be directly employed there. And these jobs will support an additional 600 jobs for nearly 1,400 permanent jobs in the economy. And then finally, jobs from new private investment. As a result of a more efficient crossing, having now you've doubled your options for going across. This is sending a clear signal to business that the Southwest Ontario and Michigan are saying we want to do whatever we can to enhance things that make it easier for business to do business, especially international trade. So from that, we estimate 6,800 permanent jobs will be created. So in addition to the jobs at Nitsey, the bridge will attract new jobs and investment into the immediate local community because of the new activity that's enabled by the bridge. So these are 3,300 new direct jobs will be created because of the change in accessibility associated with Nitsey. Each of these 3,300 jobs supports another one indirect job in the economy for a total of the 6,800. And then finally, on the economic side of it, the growth that will be added to the Michigan economy adds up to state domestic product will increase by $2.2 billion over the 4 years. Personal income by folks working in the state, either directly or indirectly because of the bridge, will increase by $4 billion, and therefore state revenues will increase by $400 million over the 4 years. So in conclusion, the Nitsey will create jobs and economic stimulus for the state of Michigan. The new international trade crossing will provide greater accessibility between Michigan and Canada. This greater accessibility will lead to new private investment as well as job creation and retention. Initially, the construction of the bridge itself will serve as an economic stimulus by generating employment opportunities within the state. Once construction is completed and border crossing operations have commenced, jobs will be created and retained to operate and maintain the bridge. And further opportunities will be generated from both the construction and related activity in highway improvements in Michigan. I look forward to your questions after the conference here. Thank you.
Next up, we'll have Bill Storvis. He is the Manager of Supply Chain Management, Materials Planning and Logistics for Ford North America. Bill?
In my capacity as a supply chain manager for North America, my team and I are responsible for managing all of Ford's inbound material to our assembly, powertrain, and stamping plants. It's from this vantage point that I'm here to voice Ford's strong support for the new border crossing. In today's competitive environment, a new border crossing between the U.S. and Canada is essential. It's critical. Our plants right now are operating at or very close to full capacity. Any delays could cause us to lose production, and those are very difficult to make up in the current environment. Our chief concern is congestion in Windsor. Direct freeway-to-freeway access is necessary. 2 bridges are required for effective cross-border trade. Ford would use both bridges. Michigan and Ontario are central to Ford's international competitiveness. Between the two, Ford employs approximately 46,000 people, and we operate 18 manufacturing facilities in the region. On a typical business day, Ford moves about 600 trucks with our components and completed product. That does not include the trucks that move to support our Tier 2, Tier 3, and beyond suppliers. Ford's fundamental business concerns, combined with the significant benefits detailed by Kim in the car study, are why Ford is here today and why Ford strongly supports construction of a new border crossing.
Thank you, Bill. Next up is John Hamilton. He is the General Vice President and Business Manager for the International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 324. John, thank you.
Thank you. 16,000 members of the Operating Engineers Local 324 and tens of thousands of other skilled trades men and women strongly support the proposal for the new international bridge. We are ready and able to build it. When one reads the comprehensive and compelling report from the Center for Automotive Research, it is clear that the bridge would result in new jobs for Michiganians and more funding for schools and public safety. The bridge would also bring in a critical $2.2 billion to fix Michigan's crumbling roads and bridges. Not only would it mean better and safer roads and bridges, it would also create permanent jobs on top of the construction-related jobs, while it vastly would be improving Michigan's infrastructure. The quality of local roads and bridges is one of the top factors businesses look at when choosing where to locate. Corporate real estate executives rank the state's transportation infrastructure as more important than tax incentives, building supply costs, and even tax rates. Now I want to tell you why the building and construction trades members are so excited to help build the new bridge and fix our deteriorating infrastructure. Operating engineers and other trades were critical in a critical component of the construction of landmarks around our state. Michigan's highway system, the Mackinac Bridge, the Blue Water Bridge, Ford Field, Joe Louis Arena, Comerica Park, Coble Hall, the Renaissance Center, Sioux Locks, Accident Fund of Michigan, Board and Water, Light, Real, Town Powerhouse, GM Grand River Assembly Plant, and the list goes on and on. It is a major undertaking to design, engineer, and construct a bridge of this magnitude. There's excavating, stabilizing, anchoring, setting of trusses, tail spans, girders, decking, and finally paving. That's why Operating Engineers funds its state-of-the-art 515-acre education center in Howell. It is important to note that our training center has a $4 million annual budget, which is funded by its members with no public subsidies. Workers receive hands-on training side by side with other crafts like carpenters and ironworkers, which simulate job site conditions. For example, the highly technical pile driving course taken by operating engineers and carpenters is critical for the building of safe bridges. The same holds true for the rigorous crane and rigging lifting classes, all of emphasize the high-tech, cutting-edge construction methods. as well as the raising gang classes with ironworkers and operating engineers, where a 5-story building is constructed and then dismantled and then put into different configurations. Safety is a major component of our curriculum, with 18 safety modules. Drug and alcohol screening are mandatory. We invest so much of our own money into training and education centers because we understand that Michigan citizens and businesses want highly trained workers building, operating, and maintaining our vital infrastructure. Our members also understand that a highly skilled workforce will attract new businesses to our state and create more good-paying jobs. On behalf of the operating engineers and the 100,000 members of the Michigan building and construction trades, I'm proud to be standing here today in full support of creating Michigan jobs. As you have heard, we have the trained workforce, the experienced Michigan contractors to make this bridge a reality, and we are all excited about the prospect of a new international trade bridge. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Well, let's take this opportunity to take questions.
I have a question on the 6,000 jobs from bridge construction. Is that Michigan jobs or is that Michigan plus Canadian jobs?
Those are just Michigan jobs. Our economic model, we have the ability to constrain the outputs to just the state of Michigan or any state that we're looking at. And so there are additional jobs created in the U.S. economy, but these are ones that are specifically Michigan jobs.
And that's the same for the 1,400 permanent jobs from operation of the new bridge?
That's right.
Can you explain where you said that a certain number were going to come from operating tolls and whatnot, and then there's just 600 more. Can you explain where those 600
Well, you need support. You know, you put in toll plazas and the like. So somebody has to supply, you know, a lot of goods and services to that just to, you know, to operate. I don't know what goes on in the inside of a toll booth, but, you know, you need computers and equipment. You need folks that either on cleaning staff, for instance. You need service folks that are doing, you know, legal, accounting, that type of thing. So where they're not directly doing the, you know, the bridge operation, they're doing a support service. And our report details a lot of those. I'd be happy to point out in there where you can go to find more of that information.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you compare, I don't know if you mentioned in the report, how many jobs a second span of the Ambassador Bridge would create?
A second span of the Ambassador Bridge? We did not look at that. However, one would, just off the top of my head, it would be very similar to this. If the bridge is the cost, you know, if the cost of a second span of the Ambassador Bridge, if the numbers going in, the investment numbers are similar to what's being proposed for the Nitze Bridge, it would be the same. A lot of these numbers are derived from the spending that occurs. So the $1.75 billion that we estimated in there, that's one of the ways that we generate employment effects. So,
would it be fair to add up all these numbers and come up with a grand total of
No.
20,000? Say that the NITSE is going to create 20,800 jobs?
no, because some of them are, you know, so the ones that go for 4 years on construction, it may be the same person each year, for instance. So you've got, you know, so in looking at the one category across the 4 years, you can't do that. But so you're saying all the way through. What you can do is take the first two that are occurring during the 4 years of the construction, add those together, and you've got roughly 12,000 jobs per year for 4 years. And then the ongoing jobs after the bridge is completed are the second, the third, and fourth category. So you could add those, so 1,400 plus the 6,800 per year. But again, you know, and what I thought you were first asking was these, if you could go across the 4 years, because you got to remember, is it the same job year by year?
So you could say 12,600 jobs for the first 4 years, and then going into the future,
A little over
8,200
Right.
jobs
Absolutely.
in the future. Okay.
If I could respond to your question, the question about the Canadian bridge, or the Ambassador Bridge being built, is it's not likely to be built. The Canadians are not willing to give the approval for it. He's had the opportunity to build the bridge for many, many years. It hasn't happened. And so it's increasingly clear that he doesn't have the approval to build that bridge, and that's why the NHTSA is so much more important. Do we have other questions?
To reinforce that point, building a twin span next to the existing bridge does not meet our needs. The issue is congestion in downtown Windsor, so we need something that is freeway-to-freeway access rather than going through a major metropolitan area with basically city streets and stoplights. So we're really looking to the future, to look at freeway-to-freeway access in an area that is not congested.
Other questions?
Maybe from the person before, how many years overdue is this bridge? 10, 20, 30 years overdue?
How long have we been working at it? I think about 10 years.
10 years overdue, would be fair to say?
Yeah, relying on an 82-year-old bridge to build Michigan's economic future probably doesn't make any sense. Other questions? If not, I think we'll close this out, and we'll be available for questions separately. But thank you all for coming.
Thanks. Thank you.